Lech, Czech, and Rus refers to a founding myth of three Slavic peoples, the Poles, the Czechs, and the Rus people. The three legendary brothers appear together in the Wielkopolska Chronicle, compiled in the early 14th century. The legend states that the brothers, on a hunting trip, followed different prey and thus traveled in different directions, Lech in the north, Czech in the west, and Rus in the east. There are multiple versions of the legend, including several regional variants in Poland and the Czech Republic that mention only one or two of the brothers. Polish version. In the Polish version of the legend, three brothers went hunting together, but each of them followed a different prey and eventually they all traveled in different directions. Rus went to the east, Czech headed to the west to settle on the Rip mountain rising up from the Bohemian hilly countryside, while Lech traveled north. There, while hunting, he followed his arrow and suddenly found himself face to face with a fierce, white eagle guarding its nest from intruders. Seeing the eagle against the red of the setting sun, Lech took this as a good omen and decided to settle there. He named his settlement Gniezno in commemoration and adopted the white eagle as his coat of arms. The white eagle remains a symbol of Poland to this day, and the colors of the eagle and the setting sun are depicted in Poland's coat of arms. According to Wielkopolska Chronicle, Slavs are descendants of Javan, the son of Japheth, the son of Noah. He had three sons, Lech, Rus, and Czech, who decided to settle west, north, and east. Czech version. A variant of this legend, involving only two brothers, is also known in the Czech Republic. The apparently best-known version by Alois Jirasek appeared in his Staré Pověsti České, while the older chronicles from 14th century, the location of Czech and Lech's home Lechavati is not specified. In the work of Jirasek it is more closely determined. Zartatrami v. Rovnik Přirýsoval rozkladala się od nepamětičávatskazím. Cast Privodny Velige vlasti Slovanské, the initial part of the Great Slavic homeland, and VTE Akučávatské země bytovala setna plemena. Přibizna jazykem Moravy, způsobem zivita. However, numerous battles had made the country very unfavorable for the people, which were accustomed to live in peace, cultivate the land and grow grain. According to other versions, the reason was that Czech had been accused of a murder. They gathered the people and set off towards the sunset. As in the Polish version, Czech is identified as the founder of the Czech nation and Lech as the founder of the Polish nation. According to the Chronicle of Dalímal, when Czech and his people climbed Rip mountain, he looked upon the landscape and told his brothers that they have reached the promised land, a country where there are enough of beasts, birds, fish and beasts so that their tables will be always full, and where they could defend themselves against enemies. He settled in the area with the tribe and, according to the Przybyk Palkava version, his brother Lech continued his journey to the lowlands over the snowy mountains of the north, where he founded Poland. Wenceslaus Hajík's version from 1541 adds many details not found in other sources. According to Hajík, the brothers were dukes who had already owned castles in the homeland before their arrival in the region and dates their arrival to the year 644. Other variants. A similar legend was also registered in folktales at two widely separated locations in Croatia, in the Kajkavian dialect of Krapina in Zagorje and in the Charkavian dialect of Poljica on the Adriatic Sea. The Croatian variant was described and analyzed in detail by a Sakak in 1940. Legend versus reality. In the Bohemian Chronicles, Czech appears on his own or only with Lech. Czech is first mentioned in Latin as Bohemus in the Kosmas Chronicle of 1125. The earliest Polish mention of Lech, Czech, and Rus is found in the Chronicle of Greater Poland written at the end of the 13th or the beginning of the 14th century. The legend suggests the common ancestry of the Poles, Czechs and Ruthenians. and illustrates the fact that as early as the 13th century at least 3 different Slavic peoples were aware of being ethnically and linguistically interrelated and, indeed, derived from a common root stock. The legends also agree on the location of the homeland of the Slavic peoples in Eastern Europe. This area overlapped the region presumed by mainstream scholarship to be the Proto-Indo-European homeland in the general region of the Pontic-Caspian steppe. In the framework of the Kurgan hypothesis, the Indo-Europeans who remained after the migrations became speakers of Balto-Slavic. The legend also attempts to explain the etymology of the ethnonyms Lechia, the Czech lands, and Rs. A prominent Renaissance Polish man of letters, Jan Kochanowski, in his essay on the origin of the Slavs, makes no mention of the third brother, Rus. Moreover, he dismisses the legend entirely, stating that no historian who has taken up the subject of the Slavic nation mentions any of those 2 Slavic leaders, Lech and Czech. He goes on to assume that Czechy and Lechi are quite probably the original names for the 2 nations, although he does not dismiss the possibility that there might have been a great leader by the name Lech whose name replaced the original and later forgotten name for the Polish nation. Legacy. Oaks of Rogaland. 3 large oaks in the garden adjacent to the 18th century palace in Rogaland, Greater Poland, are named after the brothers, and are several hundred years old. They vary between 23 and 30 feet in height. They have been declared natural landmarks and placed under protection.